if the US now is starting large-scale dollar transfer using coins, nobody would come around and not having an infrastructure. Tokenization is in Google search at its all-time high. And it's more or less 6 times of what it has been in 2020. So this is your chance to catch up. If so far you have a little bit missed the train, we want to bring you up to speed. Tokenization is not automatically liquidity, but there will be no liquidity without tokenization.
Correct. Larry Fink from BlackRock say, don't make any mistake. ETF is just an intermediary step. The final goal, the final aim is tokenization.
The next generation is going to be normal funds or active managed funds and being traded on separate secondary markets very easily.
The investors, they started their financial journey, their investment journey via crypto, and it's a bridge toward traditional finance.
If we look at the tokenization technology and the new law, T+0 is something which is absolutely reachable. It's not like, oh, this is rocket science.
So it's up to us to remain relevant and to adopt it.
Tokenization is in Google search at its all-time high. And it's more or less 6 times of what it has been in 2020. And honestly, if these days you go to a conference on asset management, tokenization is everywhere and is the topic of the day. So this is your chance to catch up. If so far you have a little bit missed the train, we want to bring you up to speed. And today, to set the scene, I am joined by Sébastien Schmitt. Sébastien is partner at PwC. He's in the regulatory and risk advisory group. We bumped into each other on topics of tokenization more specifically. True. And sure, with his team, he's leading the scene when it comes to operational and regulatory matters. So welcome, Sébastien.
Thank you, George, for the invitation. I'm very happy to discuss this passionating topic together.
Cool. So let's really jump in and let's see a little bit what is going on the market. What is elements that you see which our listeners should know? Yeah,
so you have states, organization, administration, and not the little one, the USA we are talking about, going with Genius Act toward the adoption of blockchain technology, and everything that is turning around. You have big actors, you name it, BlackRock, FTI, Franklin Templeton, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange as well, being, acquiring, Polymarket, where everything about polls done on blockchain. So when you see that trend and this kind of level of player moving, I mean, it should not be a surprise that the whole market will move toward this technology. Otherwise, you will be obsolescent.
Yeah, there is a big trend on money market funds that you can see.
Yes.
So what do you see on your side?
So on money markets, so you have Franklin Templeton. We all have seen it at the beginning of the year, where they have become, the first UCITS approved here in Luxembourg on chain. And we see this trend. It started already in the US with money market funds being tokenized. Because it's really an obvious use case for asset manager. First, already for their own purposes, because just thinking about collateral management. So a fund with a counterparty. Every day they have capital call, collateral management. What's happened today? They have shares of money market funds. They have to sell it on cash, then transfer the cash to the counterparty, and the counterparty, what she does, the counterparty, she takes the cash and invest in money market. You can already touch that it's not really efficient. Why with tokenized MMF, and thanks to, I think we will come later to this feature, but the fractionality, also the instantaneity, so you can send the amount of collateral required to your counterparty directly with tokens. So, and that makes the value chain much more efficient.
Yeah, and of course, you can even speak of intraday collateral management. Yes. And what is very interesting, you mentioned already Franklin Templeton. I mean, BlackRock seems to run the biggest fund right now. So it started in March 24, and by now it has more than $3 billion of US dollars. So that really shows that it can go very quickly. And in Europe, what is a little bit missing is the euro-denominated money market fund. So this is an invitation to all asset managers that have so far not reflected on whether they should be in. Definitely, this is a big opportunity to take. And credit to a small player in France, look it up, Spico, that we have seen as being the only and first euro-denominated money market fund open to retail as well as for professional investors. So very interesting move there. So then when it comes to the AIF space, have you a little bit seen different kind of players being interested in tokenization?
Well, I think there is actors that made a press release and publicly announced it. I think we can quote the case of Hamilton Lane, where they announced that they will tokenize a private fund. And that has been, since already many years, a target from alternative investment fund manager is really to go to retailisation. So that's the first element. And tokenization, thanks to after the creation of secondary market, can offer that to AIFs. That's the first thing. Second thing is, again, thanks to fractionality, because in the past, AIFs, you have a minimum subscription amount that is quite important. Thanks to the tokenization, you can fraction that minimum investment. And the last one is also to offer liquidity, because that's one of the main blocker for AIFs is the fact that, by definition, it's illiquid. Our tokenization does not offer itself the liquidity, but the capacity to be traded on a secondary market can potentially offer the liquidity. So that's, again, a real business case for alternative investment fund. And we see the trends. We clearly see the trend of retailisation for this kind of previously vehicles only aimed at privileged people.
I guess you would agree is tokenization is not automatically liquidity, but there will be no liquidity without tokenization.
Correct.
In these asset classes.
Correct.
And also maybe just to mention that one of the big service players is absolutely dedicated to it, which is Apex, that has recently bought Luxembourg Tokeny.
Yes.
In order really to give it full capability to run tokenization for AIFs. Now, I also want to share another trend where I was pretty astonished, which was tokenization of ETFs. So we have had contacts that where we have been reached out by ETFs that want to tokenize. So that goes hand in hand at the end of the day with them being interested to join platforms like Kraken or Bitstamp that have already announced that they want to sell US equity and ETF tokens to their clientele. Now, of course, there are nuances in, is it real tokens, is it wrapper of tokens, but there is also an interest from that side. Do you see a little bit of interest coming from the classical asset management side?
Definitely. For the moment, we are assisting clients from the UCITS world because they are interested to tokenize their investment fund. Again, for the moment, we are working with mainly money market fund. That's something funny because years ago, money market fund, they were, we were skipping this product because of abnormal condition, because we had a negative interest rate, and now we are back in a normal economy, normal world where we have normal interest rate. Then MMF become very popular, and they are the first one to be tokenized. So yes, currently, that's what we do for our clients. We assist them to make them ready for the tokenization of their money market fund.
Okay, so then let's jump into it.
Yeah.
So what are the changes that you foresee, and can you help us a little bit to decline, okay, what does it mean for normal asset management activity?
Yeah, so I think we need to see it from two perspectives, from the investor perspective and from the asset management perspective. From the investor perspective, right now, investors are people who went to traditional finance, but first have invested in crypto assets. So they started by buying and selling crypto assets. And we have many studies about that. And after, it's a bridge to go to traditional finance. So when you experience on the crypto. It means that, so you log in on your platform. Of course, you do your AML KYC process. I record my my ID card, my proof of address, and so on. And after, I can start buying and selling crypto asset. 24 hours, 7 days, non-stop. And it's immediate. I push my buy button, instantly I have my Bitcoin, my Ethereum on my wallet. So now when I'm going to traditional finance, because now I'm more interested to discover what is finance, active fund management, active fund strategy, equity, bond, and so on, can you expect that he will be surprised by the fact that when he push the buy button, the transaction will be done only 2 days after, at a price that he doesn't know? He will be allowed to trade only during limited period of time. I don't know, from, for example, 9 to 5 p.m. Only that. During the weekend, he cannot do anything. So here, basically, the traditional finance is really looking a bit prehistoric compared to the crypto asset experience he had. So that's why, for asset manager, here it's to capture this kind of investor. If they want to remain relevant, asset manager, they need to offer the same experience, investment experience that, like you mentioned, you know, the Coinbase, the Bitstamp, the Kraken, they offered. So that's the first thing. So from a distribution angle, for investor, this is really important.
Yeah. And I think that is not to be underestimated. You could always say like, well, it doesn't mean, why, if I want to invest for 2 years, what are 2 days? No, it's different. It's really what makes part of the ETF experience, why it is a success.
Yes.
Because I buy as a known price and with direct delivery,
yes.
Versus an element of time delay. And to share that, I often get the question like, but are consumers ready for tokens? So anybody that buys a token, buys a fund, on our platform, buys a token. So we have never had questions on tokens. But if we have questions from our consumer, is about cost and is about delay of delivery, because very often we retain already the cash to make sure that the trade is funded, but they factually get only their security 3 days after. And that still causes, for some of them, a headache. So absolutely join in what you say on the investor part.
And now on the perspective of the asset manager, in terms of value chain, if it's fully and natively adopted, the process should be normally more simple, more efficient. Today, in the traditional finance, well, it takes 2 days because we have reconciliation everywhere of book of record, of register, and things like that. It's not only one register. This register and after copied and pasted in various systems for various reporting reasons, for various reconciliation. And that makes also very difficult because this reconciliation takes time. You need to ensure that all the information is duplicated correctly and accurately in a different system. While with blockchain, there is no question. There is one single gold source of truth. You don't need to replicate. It's the system who will connect it to the blockchain that will capture that information, and that's it. You don't need to replicate all everything. It allows them as well to the asset manager, to disintermediate, to remove unnecessary intermediaries in the value chain.
Maybe I'm going to jump on one question here, because that is something I also hear very often as a question. So, okay, there is this new blockchain law for control agent, but can I also operate this under a digital TA, so keeping the old setup? So what would you tell us, and what is your view on this?
Technically, you could do it, but what will be your benefit of doing that? I think, yes, top line is important, so clearly. I mean, like I said, to remain relevant towards your investor, this is an aspect that you need to consider. But for your bottom line, for the efficiency, I mean, we always talk about, transformation of asset management. It's now 30 years that we are talking about that. But here is a real transformation of your process with blockchain. And I think it would be silly to not adopt fully what the blockchain can offer to the process of the asset manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's another element here is, and you pointed forward, there is this possibility now to really digitize the process.
Yes.
And that's not to be underestimated, because very often people see the end result, I get a token.
Yeah.
But with this token thing, there is also the origination process, which can be by far more, or which should be fully made digitized.
Yeah.
So no more paper, no more emails, forget about it. Just go into the tokenization platform and really run the signatures on that in a single process, on a single platform. I think that is a major advantage. But also what is coming out then is a tokenized record. And of course, that tokenized record opens also plenty of possibilities for later transfer, for automation, and different kind of
in the age of AI, we talk a lot about AI, artificial intelligence, and I think it goes hand with blockchain, because we talk about fractionality, liquidity, but one of the other features that blockchain offers is as well the programmability. So plugging AI and blockchain, you have something very powerful, very disruptive, and very transformative. And just to give a concrete sense, ETFs, we talk a lot about ETF, but the father of ETF, Larry Fink from BlackRock, say, don't make any mistake. ETF is just an intermediary step. The final goal, the final aim is tokenization. ETF is just one step toward the aim of tokenization, because ETF has really great product it is, and with the tremendous success they have, it's costly. It's not something cheap, because there is many actors that you need to put in the chain to make it work. And second, you don't trade 24 hours, 7 days. Yeah. What tokenization, actually, creating a token, I mean, it's I'm provocative by saying that, because it's not you still need to update prospectus, to make agreement, to change your product, but technically speaking, tokenization of shares of fund doesn't cost anything. It's just a smart contract, you're right, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting on what you say. And by the way, BlackRock is absolutely on the trip of being very strong in everything which is tokenization. You mentioned it. But it's very interesting when you say that ETFs is just the intermediary step. Yeah. And so would you agree in saying like the next generation is going to be normal funds or active managed funds, tokenized and being traded on separate secondary markets very easily?
That's definitely the... I think we missed the trend for ETF, let's be honest. In Luxembourg, we missed the trend. So now they are domiciled in Ireland. But again, it's not the end of the game. It's not the end of the story, because this trend, this wave of tokenization, we have everything to succeed in it. So it's up to us to remain relevant and to adopt it, to make it, to make us relevant and stronger in the future. Because that definitely, like I said at the beginning, the investors, they started their financial journey, their investment journey via crypto. We have many studies about that, demonstrating that. And it's a bridge toward traditional finance. If you are not able to offer the same investment experience, we will miss them.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. I can even share it with a personal experience. My son started the journey on crypto and everything that goes around. And today, he has also, still is in crypto, but he has also started to invest in more traditional investment funds. So right now he had to, he said, like, I'm going to be a little bit out of the crypto, is overheated. I want to have a good return, and he's investing in a high yield bond investment fund. So definitely that's true. And these guys are not lost for this industry, but the industry has to onboard the way to serve them more properly. So maybe one thing is like, okay, if you discuss with asset managers, how do you see the adoption process? What should people think of right now? Because they maybe see this big mountain, tokenization in front of them, never started. How would you approach, or what could you say like people should do?
Well, first, I think so. One of what we see is asset manager expect from their service provider to be ready for that. So here is also a message for the different service provider on the place that you need as well to adopt and to be ready to be able to answer your client, the asset manager. Because asset managers, they are managing a fund, and after what is the technicity about how is the shares, if it's tokenized or not, the prospecting, they expect, in most of the case, service provider to offer that kind of solution. Second, I think it's a journey that you need to go step by step. You need to be familiarized with the process. So what we see in general is you already have an existing fund, a flagship fund, and where you will start to tokenize a share class. Then maybe you will, when this is done and evidence as working well, you go towards maybe a UCIT, a new product, and especially for alternatives. So alternative, due to their construction, you have investment period, then after it's close-ended. Usually it's better to be considered really at the beginning as part of the feature of the product you will launch. So what we would see and recommend is going again step by step, starting small, baby step. Like when you program, when you code, we always do the baby step for a full project to be running on.
Okay, so let's then speak a little bit around the specificities of blockchain 4 law. You have spoken out about the single truth. So try to, or not try, but it's now possible to record the entire transaction in one single accounting entry shared by everybody.
Yes.
And that is, of course, a change in also the way the setup is made. Can you tell us a little bit of what you see and what you would advise people to do when thinking on launching as an asset manager a tokenized share? Should you not worry about the setup, or should you push the setup into a certain direction?
So that's a really good question. So maybe something again to for everybody to remember that the framework for issuance of shares remains from the local authority. So it's not in Europe, it's here, it's every country has its own rules for the issuance of shares of capital. So in Luxembourg, we had a law, dematerialized securities law, and we had what we call the blockchain law, so blockchain 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so here, I think we have really a toolbox that provide everything needed to tokenize shares, especially shares of fund. So we have something that has been designed especially for that. And it's written black on white that blockchain distributed ledger technology is a technology that can be used to record transaction and issuing shares of capital. So that's something that is unique in Europe. We are the only one to have that, where we have a regulator, thanks to a framework providing trust and giving legal certainty on, yes, you can adopt blockchain for the issuance of the shares of the fund. So I think we need to use that. We need really to leverage on the tools that are at our disposal put by the regulator. The regulator, I mean, he cannot innovate at our place. And it's always, we always say, regulation is constraining innovation, it goes against innovation and things like that. It's a lot of paper we need to fill and things like that. Here, I think we have a brilliant example that it's the opposite. Yeah. We have tools designed by the regulator because the regulator is smart. He understands that we are as a shift for the finance, and finance, we know it's crucial for our country, for Luxembourg country. It's crucial in terms of importance for the systemicity of our country. He understood that here there is a shift. There is something that has changed, which is blockchain. And what he decided to do is, again, like we say, like I recommended to asset manager to go step by step. He did this process step by step. So blockchain 1, blockchain 2, blockchain 3. And the last one, which was December last year, blockchain 4, where he fully recognized that we can issue natively shares of fund on the blockchain where we have a third party, independent. It's an option, but it gives, the guarantee that the process is valid, accurate, which is the control agent. And that's something for the adoption that I think it's really brilliant, smart, and we need to leverage it. We really need to market it and leverage it. So if I can recommend our client where they are thinking about tokenization, read, master, understand this 2013 law, because I think it's really a really good and smart toolbox that is offered to us by the regulator.
Yeah, I would join in. I was recently, amongst the many contacts that I have recently on tokenization, since the control agent is out and since we have that status, I had a discussion with a US lawyer, and he really liked it. I mean, he was really saying, like, look, this is amongst the best, if not the best, that there is in Europe, but also in the world. While the US now has progressed quickly on coins, on securities, they are still a little bit in this typical mirroring phase where you don't have an equivalent access, but you have a mirroring of economic rights, but not legal rights per se. And that is, I think, the big difference of Luxembourg law is that you have really the underlying title. There is no wrapping. This is really the title. I think that is something which is interesting. And it's also interesting what you say, and I fully join in. Don't look at this I just want to have a token at the end. This is your unique chance to beat the competition in taking advantage of the new setup. Because there's another thing that is coming up, which is funny, is we have this T+3 that should go to T+1. And I know there's a lobbying going on for the funds to be out of that. But look, while you can lobby on blocking a little bit the obligation of changing the funds from T+3 to T+1 because, and I read recently again in the paper, because it's more complex and more reconciliations are needed and more pre-trade things are needed. Well, yes, because we use technology which is 30 years old. And I think that it is unavoidable that the expectation of the client anyhow is going down to T+1, if not, as you have said, T+0. And what is funny is that really, if we look at the tokenization technology and the new law that has been now given to the industry, T+0 is something which is absolutely reachable. It's not like, oh, this is rocket science. Because right now there is more and more coins and tokens or money market tokens that could be used in the settlement process. So it is really delivery versus payment with a smart contract.
And we see that what is currently missing today is the famous cash leg, because indeed, so even if you have the shares of the fund tokenized, we still need to subscribe with money, so with euros, so we still need to make a bridge between the euro account to the wallet to get this tokenized. I say what we miss is the cash leg to have a stablecoin, but we see something evolving on the market already. We see long time ago we said, MiCA is preventing, and it was true, the issuance of stablecoin because it was, requiring that only credit institution can issue e-money token, so stablecoin. But now we see that we have the consortium in Netherlands where we have 9 banks getting together to issue stablecoin. We have the release, I think it was several weeks ago, of Odo as well issuing the stablecoin. So we see that trends coming on. So we will have the cash leg that will be soon present, and again will facilitate all this process.
I would say they are there. I mean, if you go to your Unity, that you have also you have some Société Générale Forge cash that is available. And you have some money markets that are available, not enough, but you see these things are available. Of course, what you're absolutely right is what the players would have to do is build a little bit of piece of infrastructure or get them serviced with a piece of infrastructure. But basically, the solutions are there, but they still have to be implemented. But it's not as hard as you might seem. It's not the same kind of problem that you have to imagine if you change your entire accounting system and so on. So these are projects that last forever. With modern technology, it goes also faster because the technology is lighter and is more set up for quick adoption. So, thank you very much, Sébastien. As all the pieces already are coming together, we really want to continue, as we have done right now with your help, to demystify a little bit all the tokenization chats, help you in, for example, in questions like TACA. We have already touched it. What is the difference? The processes that can be simplified. Which process can exactly be simplified? What about KYC AML? What about any other kind of compliance? And is it really true that liquidity is so close? On this introductory session on our podcast, Fund Tokenization in Europe, today I'm joined by Sébastien Schmitt from PwC. Sébastien is partner in the regulatory and risk frame, and he is an outspoken specialist on tokenization, and he also has his wishes, what it could make to Luxembourg. Listen in to know what is exactly his kind of wish. Cheers. So, but before we really completely finish our session, I want to go to another element of our podcast, which is two things that are close to my heart. When it comes to professional life, I really am fascinated by blockchain, so that was part of our discussion. When it comes to my private life, I have a lot of pleasure in wine tasting and wine drinking. And so every podcast series will finish by presenting you a wine. For this one, to be close to our guest, I thought I have to take a French wine. Did not want to take one of the flaming kind of everybody using and everybody knowing. So this is a Pouilly Fumé. Pouilly Fumé is coming from La Loire. Mm-hmm. And it's just opposite to Saint-Cyr. So it's a Sauvignon Blanc. And a Sauvignon Blanc says minerality and so on, but it also goes with its name a little bit smoky, so that's why it is Pouilly Fumé. So maybe another one that I wanted to ask you is, what is your favorite wine?
My favorite wine?
Yes.
So I'm French, but I'm also from Lorraine, so close to Alsace. And I have to admit that I'm a real big lover of the Alsace wine.
Okay. So.
Allez. Santé.
Santé. So I have also a connection to the Alsace, which is very interesting. I've passed my studies over there.
Okay.
So, and I can only join in what you're saying. It's still also one of my favorites. Cool. At least when it comes to white wine, definitely one should always make a stop. And of course, the famous Pinot Noirs in Alsace is also a pleasure.
Very good. Indeed, hein? Fumé.
Yeah.
C'est très bon.
So, maybe a little bit to close here. If you would have to make a wish for the industry, for Luxembourg, what would it be?
So, I think so. In 1985, when the first UCITS directive went out, now looking back in the mirror, we can say that it was a real success. It was we built in Europe a brand that has been recognized worldwide. Everybody knows about UCITS and got inspired by UCITS. In Asia, they copy a bit, the same model. So we really built a success in Europe with our financial sector, with the UCITS. And Luxembourg definitely has been fantastic in that period and created real expertise, knowledge, and guarantee of really good quality. So UCITS, we transform financial sector into a success in Europe. If we see later and more on the technology aspect, we see, for example, that we definitely in Europe missed the train of internet. 2000, the internet, we missed it, and we are now in a difficult position when we are all discussing all these sovereignty topics. For example, with AI and cloud, like for example, 70% of the cloud offering in the world is 3 American actors. And AI, even if you have a French model like Mistral and things like that, to get access to those models, you need to go through a cloud that will be American. So we miss it, and we see how impeding it is to have missed that shift. And now we are at the same corner for the finance. We know that there is a wave, there is a change, and if we don't adopt it, we risk to be, like for the internet and the cloud, to be on the side. So it's really up to us, especially knowing that in Luxembourg, again, we have been provided with a real good toolbox. So it's really up to us to really adopt that technology, to remain at least relevant in that context and keep, this expertise, this knowledge in the financial sector, and remains pertinent in the years to come. Otherwise, we are really at the risk to be Europe becoming a flyover zone, and that's something us and all we don't want.
Yeah. So that's also, it's covering one of my travelings very early when I went together with Alfie to promote Luxembourg around the world. And when you went to Asia and you spelled out UCITS, they always said, Luxembourg funds.
Yeah.
So, and right now I would guess if you say ETF, they would say Irish ETF. And our wish should be that in the future, if we say like fund tokens, Luxembourg fund tokens. That's really, I think, the dream that we both share. And as you have said, it's going to be important for Europe, but it's also going to be important for Luxembourg. And it's a big chance for Luxembourg. And if we miss it, it might become a big danger. But right now, it's still a big opportunity. So I think it's the moment to take it up. As said, we are going to continue this session, and right ahead we are also going to go to our first podcast, which is together with Raoul Heinen from Linklaters, and we are speaking about legal aspects of the new blockchain 4 law. So, as you know, T+0 is knocking at your door. See you next time. Bye.